We just landed back in Vienna from a 2-week holiday in Caribbean and Bahamas Islands. It was a remarkable, really bucket list worthy trip, and it was basically full of impressions almost every single day. We visited 6 countries in those 2 weeks and 6 completely different places. It was just full of impressions and full of amazing places, especially considering that now it's February, so in Austria, Vienna, it's really cold. So it was a complete change of weather and climate, and it was just amazing. However, the biggest challenge people have after holiday is getting back into work. And I'm usually genuinely excited about my work, about what I do. However, it's still a psychological thing that when you have had these amazing days, every day was fun and eventful, and you had lots of new impressions and all these amazing things that you were experiencing, and suddenly you're back, you basically have to adjust to that new reality because your dopamine levels are completely high and you are gonna be craving that same thing once you're back. And that means important thing is to rebuild that momentum in order to get back into that workflow and into that grind mode, so to say, which I really love because once you're in it, you actually start enjoying the hustle and the work and the small things, so to say, of the work. So I really dislike having those dead days between ending the holiday and then getting back into work because they're not productive, but they're not enjoyable or relaxing either. So it's kind of pretty wasteful. So what I do is I have a system, or basically a very simple framework of how do I get back into that mode without wasting or losing any time and becoming productive again. And that is simply rebuilding the momentum. What does it mean? You can think of it as a snowball effect where you start with very small steps or tasks, basically very small to-dos, maybe some errands to run, and slowly you increase the size or impact of the task so that the momentum actually starts building and eventually you get into that state. So the important goal here is not to be the most productive in the first few days because it usually would take 2 to 3 days if you do that diligently, but the goal is to build that momentum, like get into that mode. And it's important because you need to start enjoying those small things and the work, the daily work again. Because as I said, if you had these super high days where, you didn't have any responsibility, you don't have to check your emails, you don't have to, do these tedious tasks and work. And when that is over and you switch back to work, basically everything seems boring and dull in comparison to that. So you need to do the work, the initial work of rebuilding momentum in order to get back into enjoying the small things and, feeling pumped about going to the coffee shop to work there for 3 hours on email marketing, or getting up at 6 a.m. and going for a quick workout or things like that. So my plan is to start doing that right now. I already planned a few to-dos for today, which are gonna be small things. Again, you don't need to overdo it and just rush into it because it's gonna have actually counterproductive effects. So today's to-do list is actually productive, but still simple, which is a quick unpacking as soon as possible, time box for 20 minutes, just clean everything out so that I can get back to work as soon as possible. The second one would be to do a workout because I've been sitting in a plane for 12 hours in total. So I need to, get some movement in and stretching. And after that, so that's important for my physical well-being. And after that, we need to do one thing, which is wiring money for a business transaction. And after that, we're gonna do 2 things, which is weekly planning for the coming week. And after that, based on the weekly planning, I'm gonna prioritize all the things that I wanna do for tomorrow. So that means planning for tomorrow's tasks. And after that, I'm gonna get some sleep because I haven't slept for 20 something hours, which means I need to recharge and get back that energy again. But it's important not to have any social media breaks and couch breaks. And that's important because we are going for what's called a dopamine detox. We want to lower our dopamine spike and get back to enjoying that dull and tedious daily grind. And that means no cheap dopamine, no unhealthy food, no social media, no just rolling on the couch, basically just going through the tasks one by one. And you're gonna need to have discipline, and I need to have discipline for the first 2 days. So the second day is a grind as well. It's really difficult to get into that phase, but on the third day, we are back to it, and we're gonna be fully ready to get back to the routine and just dive into work, which is a really enjoyable state in work mode actually. Whenever I have, built these steps, where I'm in my work mode and I'm excited about all these projects, it's actually really, really enjoyable to wake up every single day and work on those things. So that's the plan. And I'm gonna be recording and documenting it live for you as much as possible. So let's get started. So Windows is trying to warn you, but in our case, we know what we are downloading as it is from an official source, which is GitLab. So we can click more info and then run anyway. So today has been already pretty productive despite the 15-hour journey that we had flying from Miami to Vienna. So basically, I checked whether there were any urgent tasks in Asana. So I recorded a few audios that my engineer needs to continue his work. And it is usually a small thing, which is a blocker for him. So I did that immediately. We also did planning for tomorrow. Yeah, there was a little bit frustrating event, which is we basically booked tickets for this business event that we're flying to in Germany, which is not very far. And we requested the rooms at the hotel, but they didn't respond. So we forgot to book a room at the hotel where the event is taking place, and there are 100 other entrepreneurs. So that means they may be out of room, so we cannot reserve anything there. So I called them immediately. It was pretty stressful because the whole conference and the event actually happens on this huge, pretty luxurious hotel premises. So being there is kind of the part of the whole situation. So that would suck basically if we don't get the room because we were too late. And yeah, that was already pretty stressful beginning of getting into the work mode and building momentum. So I guess on the positive side, that kind of pushed me pretty fast into the work mode and back into the reality. So I called them up on the phone. They're going to clarify the situation and basically call back. And we have a backup already. So in case that doesn't work. So yeah, that's how it started. A couple of small things, basically small urgent and some non-urgent tasks that I also checked off. And now it's actually 6 p.m. But probably at this point I haven't slept for like 24 hours or so. So I'm gonna go and get a good night's sleep, because tomorrow it's back to the usual routine, which is getting up at 6 a.m., doing a workout, getting my vitamins and healthy ginger, lemon, blah, blah, blah drink that I start my day with instead of coffee. That is a big change. I've been doing this morning routine for last 8 months already, every single day without skipping a day, except for the holiday. Of course, you see and you feel the results. So I'm gonna get back to the routine right away from tomorrow, and then it's basically just normal workday. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. It was kind of throwing myself into cold water right away instead of like easing into it because of this urgent task that I didn't expect to come up and pop out of nowhere. But that's okay, because now we're back in the game. So let's get some rest and have a productive day tomorrow. Lemon drink that I usually have on empty stomach to kind of get the body moving and wake up in the morning. Yeah, so I restarted my morning rituals, waking up at the same time as before, as well as doing workout and taking all the essential stuff in the morning. I feel pretty tired, not gonna lie. I think I probably have a jet lag, but that's okay, because we have a plan for today and a few things we want to take care of and get done today, including getting back to our whole team who is waiting for my feedback or reply, etc., and then do the planning. Probably we're thinking about going to a coffee shop, our favorite coffee shop for work, and at least doing the first half of the day there, so we kind of get into our familiar situation. Plus, I accept that when you are getting back into the work mode at the beginning, it takes a little bit of discipline. Like, you have to push yourself, and instead of scrolling on social media, you need to really sit down and do the work. It's not easy. Like, I usually need some willpower and discipline at the beginning. That's what I'm doing. And that's why it's important to be cautious and very intentional about, planning your day in a way that it makes it easier for you to get into that work mode and not waste your time and not, again, just aimlessly scroll on social media and watch some videos. Yeah, and, going to our favorite coffee shop and working there is one of the things to make it easier to get into the work mode and then accomplish all the tasks. And thankfully, I don't have any meetings today. The meetings actually start from tomorrow, so that means I have a full day free to just focus on work and get some things done. So it's 8 in the morning now. we're gonna get ready and then go to the cafe to do some work. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. The morning today was not as productive as I wanted to. I was actually pretty tired and almost half asleep because of jet lag, and pretty much felt like shit without energy. And I also procrastinated by watching an amazing YouTube video about delicious food spots in Kyoto, which made me want to go on a holiday and book the next holiday in Japan because I love Japanese food, and basically got into this cycle and procrastinated a little bit. That means I started working 2 hours or 2.5 hours later than I planned to, but finally I managed to get my shit together and at least start working. And the initial phase of, going through the asana tasks and basically, doing the first tasks was pretty difficult, as it usually is when you start working after a long break. But the best hack, I have 2 hacks basically for, sitting down to work when you don't feel like it. The first one is the best hack just to get started, because the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes are the hardest while you're thinking that the entire task is hard. But after 10 minutes, no matter what task it is, how much you want to procrastinate, it usually kind of unlocks the mode that you kind of get into it. So just start working. You just have to overcome the first 10 minutes. That's it. The second hack that I use personally is whenever I don't feel motivated to work, for me that means that I have lost an overview of what's important, of what the priorities are, or what is the purpose of why I'm doing it. So what helps the most, which is also a productive task at the same time, is planning. So since it's today is 3rd of March, which means it's beginning of the month, and we usually do monthly plannings. We basically reviewed what are the priorities, the most important things in our business that we want to push forward and would have the most impact on our business. Right now we are optimizing for revenue growth and just not only reaching more people, but the leads that we already have, to basically make the offer more attractive, more transparent. And one of the core parts of that is our email marketing, which we are kind of perfecting and working on right now. And that is the main focus, because we see the biggest impact when we're doing tasks for email marketing. In addition to the priorities, which is important, we also I got an overview of what are all the things that are open right now, which are urgent, which means, team members need my feedback, or we are hiring a new employee, so we need to prepare onboarding, so this type of stuff, operations, hiring, team management. And that combination makes me feel like everything is under control, and also makes me excited to actually work, and I know exactly what needs to be done, when, and in which order. So that's an amazing feeling. That means after the monthly planning, we also prioritize what needs to be done, or what we want to get done within just a week. And I usually overplan my tasks because I like to push myself. Instead of stretching something for the entire month, I basically ask myself, how can I take all these things and basically just do it in a week, right? Something that maybe usually takes people the entire month, because what I've learned or practiced is I'm very patient with, or I try to be patient with the results, but I'm very impatient with the implementation. Because if I can do something, if it's in my control to basically get the work done, then I just want to get it done as soon as possible, because I don't see any reason to, delay it or stretch it out if I know that this is an important task. And that means I'm almost done with all my assigned tasks, which also means I'm actually now up to date with all the things that needed to be done for my team, giving them the feedback and review, and that already makes me feel super productive. Like I'm actually very happy the way the day turned out, even though it didn't start as perfectly. A couple of small things that we also took care of. One was booking the hotel. It was kind of last minute because we missed the deadline. So thank God we were still able to reserve the room. It's actually it's for an event, a business event that we're flying to in Germany. It is actually for, it's a networking event basically like a networking event for 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs, which means we get to know a lot of other entrepreneurs from different industries and fields, but also in our industry, and kind of exchange with them and network with them with official or unofficial settings. So I think that's going to be it is going to be very beneficial, because the environment and people that you surround yourself with obviously is very important. So I try to actively seek out this type of events and groups of people. So I'm happy that it worked out with the reservation. The last thing I'm probably going to do today, so it's around 6 p.m. right now. So final task I'm going to do before the end of today is to record an audio for one of my engineers for updates. And that will be a super productive day, actually. I'm very happy about it. And most importantly, I'm happy because, through the planning, through reorganizing the priorities, and getting an overview, but also going through the technical tasks, I genuinely feel excited about working again and, doing those deep work sessions, which is super important for me to, I don't want to grind through work. I actually want to enjoy it, and I genuinely do enjoy it most of the time. And when I don't, I understand that it is a signal that something's missing, which usually means I lost an overview of why are we doing what we're doing, what are the important things, or maybe I don't feel like I have things under control. And before continuing to work and just grind through it, I try to first identify the problem and then fix it by, usually it just simply takes half an hour or 1 hour maximum of writing down the priorities, getting an overview, and then I'm back into that state again. So that's super important for me, and I'm really happy now to get back to work in a full productive mode. So that means tomorrow, again, start of day at 6 a.m., my usual morning routine. And then I'm going to do the first deep work session to get to working on the most important thing right away. And after that, I have a meeting with my executive assistant in the afternoon. And after the meeting, I have a podcast that I actually fixated a month ago about infrastructure as code. So basically engineering channel. And that's going to be the day. Our cook is actually preparing us some delicious food tomorrow, which I'm also excited about. That means by end of today, I will probably be back to fully productive mode, exactly in the same state as I was before leaving on a holiday, on a 2-week holiday. And that's the most important thing, to get excited and enjoy the work again. And that was the main message of this video, to show you how you can speed up the process of getting into that mode and building or rebuilding that momentum that you lose when you have a break in between, whether it's a holiday or some family responsibility or some personal private issue or whatever that is. Let's just end it here. Just got done with my deep work session. I'm gonna be honest again that I actually started today later than I wanted because I slept in. I felt super tired again in the morning, and it is frustrating when you can't kind of keep a promise to yourself. But usually in those times, what I do is I try to see how to make the best of the current moment, and basically instead of feeling frustrated about it, I just decided to do my 4 hours deep work anyways with the most productive best mode. So we just shifted, but I was able to make it still productive, which is eventually what counts, at least for me, that at the end of the day I feel productive. I feel like I pushed something important forward and I had a biggest impact on my business through my work. So I'm really happy about the results. We are currently working on the email marketing, which is the biggest priority right now. So we actually created a complete outline and even wrote even half of the emails for one of the new funnels actually, for a specific target group, which is basically a sequence of valuable emails, right? So teaching short, important, useful information per email, and that's the sequence basically. In just one deep work session, we managed to do almost half of the work. So that means tomorrow, if we have another this type of productive deep work session, we're probably going to be finished completely with the funnel, which is amazing because I believe that this funnel is going to have a huge impact on our community building, but also on the back end on our revenue. And this type of productivity only comes out from deep work sessions. Like I couldn't get so much done if I did like a 1 hour here and 30 minutes here, like in between some other stuff. And this is something that what I've learned with experience, and that's why I've implemented this so strictly in my work schedule. What happens is that not only your productivity increases, but also the quality of your work. And the quality increases proportionately to how long you stay in the deep work focus, right? So the first half an hour or so is, you're kind of getting ready, getting all the materials and kind of getting started and the ideas coming to your mind. And then after that, the first hour, the second, third hour, you are getting deeper into the state where your ideas are much more original, much more fresher. And that's why I try to utilize and take advantage of that as much as I can. Yeah, it is like unlocking that superpower. I'm really happy with the results of today because of how much progress we made. And I'm also happy with the quality of the emails. I think they're going to be super useful and valuable for the recipients, which is the purpose and the main objective of it, to build that trust and to give value before we ask for something in return. So that was the major thing today. Yesterday, I also ended up working a little bit on the tasks with my engineers. So I'm happy that all of them are unblocked now, so they're not waiting for my feedback. They can continue with their work. And I also reviewed 2 videos from my videographers for this channel. And usually we have a few back and forth. I give feedback and they make the adjustments. In this case, both of the videos were amazing. One of them is a vlog, another one is like a talking head where I teach the most important lessons from my top 10 books. And the editing was amazing. There was the shots that were used were amazing. I was super happy with the results, and I didn't even have any improvement feedback, which made me super happy to see those final videos. Yeah, so that was a super wrap up for the day yesterday. So right now I have a little break before my meeting with an executive assistant, where we just go through some priorities and urgent tasks basically for hiring. And then I'm gonna wrap up my day with a podcast that I was invited at to speak about infrastructure as code, which is a topic that I really love. It's an amazing concept in the engineering field, and it is also with a pretty successful startup founder that I met in San Francisco. So I'm actually really looking forward to doing this podcast with him.
You know what those developers want to learn and what kind of skills they want to improve. So I think we will double down on that. Sounds good?
Sounds awesome. So, just a second. What about now?
Oh, much better. Okay. Yeah, that's much better.
Okay, good. Awesome.
All right, let's keep in touch, Nana, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. And to wrap this video up, I want to leave you with two messages. The first one is an advice to implement the deep work sessions in your life. So whatever you are doing, whatever is a priority right now that you feel like you can't get enough time to do this work, or you can't make enough progress and it just stretches, try out blocking your time in 2, 3, or 4 hour segments where you don't have any distractions, and just intensively work on this project every single day, and just see, like, it's really like unlocking some kind of magic of how much progress you're gonna make and how much more fulfilled you're gonna feel about your work. The second one is, as I said, sometimes I set these goals and I want to, wake up at 6 a.m. and I want to get started with my work at 7 a.m. or I want to hit a certain target or have a certain outcome by the end of my work session. But very often it doesn't turn out that way because either I lack the discipline to do it, or because the outcome just wasn't good enough for me. It happens very often that we set goals for ourselves, we set standards for ourselves, but we can't always fulfill them. And it feels shitty, it feels frustrating, it's like you're disappointing yourself. But what I learned to do is just try to focus on, okay, this is past. I slept in, or I don't know, I couldn't get the outcome that I was looking for. What can I do right now to make the most out of the next few hours, the rest of the day, or make the most out of the rest of the week? And maybe it's a little bit extreme for some people, but I just like the feeling of accomplishing something and feeling proud of myself that I did some work, or I put in the effort that I know is going to be impactful for my business, for my growth, even if it's just personal growth and learning something. So those are the messages I want to leave you with. And as always, great to have you on this channel, and I'll see you in the next video.